Hello, everyone. Welcome to a very interesting Constantly Calibrating Podcast. A couple of weeks ago, Justin and I were in San Francisco talking to Jared Petty and had a case of if anything can go wrong, it will go wrong. Microphones didn't record at the level they claimed to be. Cameras weren't recording when they said they were recording. Cameras shut off at some point. It's a great podcast. It's a great listen. We fixed the audio. The video's missing some stuff and also just has points where it's just for some reason zoomed in only on Jared and myself, and Justin's kind of off this side. I hope you still enjoy the video podcast. It's also going to be on iTunes if you just want to listen to it, Spotify as well. Thank you for bearing with us.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to a lovely little special Constantly Calibrating Podcast episode. I'm Josh. This is Justin. We're here in the home of Jared Petty.
I didn't know I was special. I'm a special?
You're special. You're
Well,
special.
what makes it special?
Because we love you.
Oh, it's good to be loved. You don't love the other guests then. You love me more than them?
Yeah, kind of a little bit. There might be some favoritism going on here.
I'm very pleased to hear that. Please feed my narcissism.
No, absolutely. See, when I feed other narcissism, it actually feeds back on my own.
Oh, there we go. We're already off to the races here.
Yes.
We're doing some good stuff here. We've got some great stuff going on here. So.
I'll say, because of Jared Petty, expound is now in my vocabulary.
Oh, was that a Jared word?
Yeah, definitely Jared word. I think it has to be a Jared word.
I mean, I can't speak to that. I love the word, though. It's a good word.
I stole that from a college professor that I don't think I ever actually had him for a class, but he was famous at our school for whenever you said something that he thought was kind of beneath your intellectual prowess, he would look at you and just sarcastically go, expound. And rather than have it be sarcastic, I thought, well, it's actually a great question to get somebody to go a little farther with something when they have an interesting idea going on.
You definitely made it your own.
I decided to reclaim it, make it something bright, something good.
No, I think it's a good way. I think it's a good thing. And again, I just like the sound of the word.
It's a fun word.
Yeah, my favorite word with weird topics to start off is, but my favorite word's always in verisimilitude.
Ooh, wow.
Because the meaning of it's so simple. It's so simple. It's very similar, but it just sounds like so much powerful word to the point that my goal with my now 3.5-year-old was, how early can I get a freaking child to say the word verisimilitude? Answer, just before 2 years old.
Okay, well, a child can learn to say things like Tyrannosaurus Rex fairly early, or Stegosaurus, or so I imagine that should. What's your favorite word?
I don't really have one. I'm not the one with words.
He's not. He's not.
I'm sorry. I'm disappointing to you, Jared.
No, you're not a disappointment at all. You make me happy when skies are gray. Do not feel disappointing in the least.
Thank you.
So this podcast, we are in San Francisco right now, doing a little. It's a weird hybrid personal vacation mixed with business aspect, just with the timing of things. We had the semi-business thing of going to IGN, to check out GameScoop 500 on Friday, then a weekend of just kind of like, why did we come out on a weekend? Okay, so I guess let's go explore San Francisco.
Yeah, it's like we could actually come out on a trip and relax for once. It's nice.
Like, I could actually just be like, I wake up naturally at 7 o'clock in the morning. It's like, screw it, I'm going back to bed till like 10 or 11.
Nice, that's a good day.
It was a good day. It was a nice thing. We got to explore, do all these things.
So you wandered the city. You found Musée Mécanique, you were telling me before the show.
Yes.
Yeah, Justin and I wandered for like 4.5 hours yesterday.
On foot, or were you lifting?
On foot.
Okay.
We took a lift down to the pier area.
Okay.
And just were on foot. And then for like 20 years, it's been a dream of mine to see Lombard Street.
Okay.
It's a personal thing with my mother. She... after the second time she went into remission for cancer, she just this out of nowhere is like, you know what? I've never taken you to San Francisco. She took me everywhere in this country pretty much. But she's like, I never took you to San Francisco. It's one of my favorite places. I want to take you to Lombard Street because I had a thing for architecture and like roads and all those kind of things.
Oh, hold on. Something very strange is happening. I don't know. I hear foot. Is that my... Hello? Hey. Well, this is interesting.
Yeah?
You are home very early.
I told you I was getting home early.
I didn't realize it was quite this early.
Are you naked with someone?
We're not naked, but we are recording a podcast in the living room right now. Hello. I'm sorry about this, gentleman.
It's all good.
This is literally how Constantly Calibrating goes. My children walk in during podcasts.
Okay, well, good. There we go.
My wife walks in. It's all good.
There we are. Well, there is my wife walking in, and she is all good. Hello, wife Angie.
Hello.
Greetings. So we stole your living room.
Sorry.
Sorry about that. And we'll be out of your way in a while.
Take your time.
Okay, good. And so I also took the table out of the bedroom. We ended up not needing it, so now it's sitting over here.
People out of what?
The table that's sitting over there. Yes. leaving you pretty much nowhere to go during this time. I apologize for that. Sorry, I didn't realize you would be here quite yet. You were making your scrunchy nose. Did you smell something?
No, I just heard scrunchy noise.
Scrunchy nose. You were doing scrunchy nose.
No, I just heard somebody and I just was wondering what yours.
I'm really hoping all of this stays in the podcast.
It's
More likely.
The way I edit it's very likely.
Okay, excellent. Well, hello, good wife.
Hi.
Hi. This is Josh and Justin.
Hi, Josh.
Pleasure
Hi.
meeting you.
I'm feeding you anything to drink or anything?
Good.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, well, let's go to the bedroom.
I love you. Bye. That's my wife. Well, that was unexpected.
Hey, you know what? Unexpected works the best. I like podcasts where just like the real life aspect, like things just happen.
I know, but I still feel kind of rude. I interrupted your wonderful story about visiting the pier, and you went up to Lombard Street, and you were telling the story about your mother and that experience, and then right there in the middle, we kind of took a divergent. So it's not called taking a divergent. That's not a word.
No, diverging.
Diverging, yeah. I don't know how words work. All right, so anyway, you were telling the
No,
story.
so it's just like the end of it, yeah. So then my mom, after the second time of admission, yada yada, she decided she wanted to take me in because I had a thing about like architecture and like road working and stuff like that. I think I wanted to be a city planner or something like that at some point when I was younger, in my teens. I don't really remember very well, but she wanted to take me here, and then sadly she said when she goes to remission next time.
Okay.
She never went to remission again. So the sad story of things, and it's now been quite a while since she passed, but when I realized, I can go to San Francisco, visit Kind of Funny, visit you, like do all these things, I'm like, I could go for a personal reason too. Like I can actually go do this. So it was this nice cathartic moment yesterday, getting to just hike my way up there. Nearly killed Justin walking.
Yeah, we made a mistake and we approached the street from the wrong direction.
Oh, dear.
Which was entirely uphill.
We approached from the pier. So all uphill.
Oh, no.
All
And
uphill.
I don't think people that haven't been here before fathom what uphill in San Francisco means.
Uphill
Requires
different.
climbing equipment.
Yeah, the angle of the streets it seems impossible that the streets are built at the angles that they are. Like the cars should just tumble down them. And I'm sorry that you were forced to make that ascent. Did you stop to rest frequently as you climbed, or you just blazed through?
We
Blazed through, really.
we bought a big bottle of water before we started making them climb.
We both literally were passing the Walgreens or CVS. We both like looked at what was ahead of us, and we both looked at each other like, I'm dehydrated. This is a terrible idea. And we so we thankfully were hydrated. But you make do. You have fun, and
I kind of like the mental image of the two of you, like people lost in a desert in a movie. Like you've got the water, and then you see the bottle laying in the sand, and then you're crawling on your stomachs. But it's through like the townhouses of San Francisco. So there's some guy on like an electric like unicycle and a helmet and a necktie going by on the other way. And
Saw a couple of those.
yeah, it's weird. Yo, where's home? I mean, where's home base?
for us.
Yeah.
He's South Carolina, I'm Arizona.
So what's it like coming here to the place where cartoon characters are suddenly all around you everywhere you step?
I mean, for me, it's just the fascinating aspect of suddenly being outside. Because in Arizona, I spend 9 months of the year, inside because otherwise it's death. But it's very interesting. Like, a lot of the the weirder side of people and stuff like that, like I see when I go to visit Austin a couple times a year, and I honestly, Tempe is like a college town, so we do get some interesting types, but San Francisco is definitely a different level.
It's a little different because every time I go out, I'm going to a convention, so it's normalized, but then you see that happen, you're like, there's really nothing happening this weekend. This is
no
Fleet Week. Place.
Yeah,
it is Fleet Week.
Yeah, there's Fleet Week. You got some
Week.
Blue Angels flying over.
We watched
did.
that.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff going on there. Yeah, the thing I like about it, I said cartoon characters because there are a lot of people here that are definitely just wanting to be seen. But I actually really enjoy the aspect of San Francisco where people just kind of do their own thing.
Yeah.
I think it's when people that make it obnoxious tend to seem to do so pointedly. Mm-hmm. By and large, people are just living their life, doing their thing, and it's pretty darn groovy and cool. And I like that. And beyond the hippy-dippy groovy, just a world of, it's nice for not to feel judged everywhere you go for being a little weird. And San Francisco's pretty good at that.
I think that's a great thing.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
100% agree.
It's a dystopian hellscape in many other ways.
I mean, very much so.
But it does have that going for it.
Yeah, I mean, you take the good and the bad with every situation. But as I was saying, for people watching specifically to chat with Jared, this is still one of our normal podcasts, so we're going to talk about a few different things before we really get into the man that is Jared. One of the other reasons we are here, for people who may not know, is Justin and I are co-hosting with Greg Miller, Kind of Funny Games Daily.
Greg Miller, you say?
Greg Miller.
Talk about a cartoon character.
And it was a case of we weren't we weren't necessarily going to talk about this, but it's just the case of I had this realization that Justin was hosting at noon, and then we were going to come see you at 2:30.
Right.
It was like, there's literally no way we can do anything where we don't at least address it.
Well, you've got to. I mean, the opportunity to go in and do that, because, the lights come on, they point those cameras at you. I mean, I'm in there a few times a week. What was it like?
First time I've been in a kind of a situation like that. So, like, it's where I'm used to on-floor interviews or in like a
green room.
Yeah, green room, media room. But to come as a guest onto somebody's show that has a set, like an actual set, is... Oh, yeah, it was overwhelming.
I have a corner room that I call a set, which is in reality just like a corner of an apartment with some posters on it. You go in there and there's a giant, like, glowing media wall with switchable panels and multiple lights and 3 cameras.
What's I'm here? Like, my set, if you want to call it that, is in the same area of my bed. Which I need. So first goal: get a place for my bed and my computer's not in the same room. But yeah, just the fact it's there. And then when the show started, I mean, being with Greg, he helps you along so well. It's just like talking to Greg at the end of the day.
What was it like for you? Because he'd be on that side, you'd be on this side, and he's just there. It is. You ready? And then it's quiet, and then Kevin says audio on 3, 2, and it gets quiet, and then cool Greg waves, and Greg just goes, "What's up, everybody?" And then he looks at you, and you've got to say something. What was that like?
I probably blacked out, to be honest. So we'll see I'll have to rewatch it to see what happened.
No, you were great, man. Like you one of the things I always say about Justin is Justin's great on the microphone. He's great on different things, but I was telling him this earlier, he's more usually on the interviewer side of things, where you let your guest talk, you don't interject, you don't say things. But he was suddenly in a situation where he was the guest, where he was expected to cut off the host, where he was expected to say things, to add stuff, and particularly when you're talking to someone like Greg Miller, who has a lot of opinions, is very loud. If you want to be heard, you sometimes got to make yourself heard. Yeah,
he wants you to make yourself heard. Although he is a very good interviewer, he asks a lot of questions.
He's a phenomenal interviewer.
But you've got to jump in. That's his style.
But you definitely want to make sure that if he's really on a news story and he's really going, that you get stuff. So I wondered if Justin would be able to pivot, into that kind of different mindset, and he was. Honestly, I straight up cried watching.
Aww.
I got literally, I got so emotional. Let's watch my brother, pretty much, do this, and it was just absolutely amazing.
And tomorrow it's your turn.
Tomorrow it is my turn. For those watching this, since this is going to be going out only as a VOD, you can go watch the VOD of that.
There you go. Which is weird because I'm not that way in person too. But like people probably have been to me in the community before. They're probably I think I met that guy. And it's probably true. I just have one of the faces and 2 like very general names for both first and last name.
True.
And they was like, I think I've met you before. It's like, yeah, I know, brown beard, brown hair, brown eyes, glasses. I mean, you don't find a lot of us in the video game industry.
So what was the most surprising thing about visiting Kind of Funny? Like about being on site and talking to everybody?
Being there, just seeing how like it doesn't matter what kind of level you're at. It's the same thing we're watching IGN. They still have this kind of like goofs and just hiccups leading into the production that as you do at home.
Well, like watching, so we got there early enough to watch the morning show. They had a blue screen of death that just ended the morning show pretty much. And just like seeing the technical issues, seeing someone who's been doing this stuff for years, like, like Nick or Andy or Greg, make a word hiccup or, make a little mistake here and there. It's like the most empowering thing in the world.
It's like, oh, you're like people too.
They're people, and you fuck up sometimes. But,
absolutely.
But, or your tech, does it, and you just keep moving, you keep going. And that's like one of the most empowering things. I mean, for me, just the cool aspect was getting to see Kevin's setup, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm a tech nerd, and I, before children, would just buy stuff just to experiment with it. I'd buy microphones just to try them. I'd buy just random things just because I was curious how it worked. I don't have that that privilege anymore.
Yeah, as a tech guy, like I look at it, I'm like, okay, let me see how everything's hooked up. Like I'm following the lines now with my eyes to see how that goes there.
Yeah, I was just like following the trail of wires and following the trail of just all the different monitors and where stuff was linked up, and I'm just like literally looking, and I tapped Kevin at one point. I'm like, your setup's amazing, and just want you to know this is my dream. What you have here, right
Well,
here.
Kevin has kind of that Frankensteinian mind.
Sure.
And he also lives in like a closet.
Yeah.
Like he lives in a very small place. So the
His
Benefit
office is also
Studio
a closet.
really is sort of his laboratory.
Yeah.
Like that is his domain. No one else knows how it works. Were you electrocuted by the set by chance?
Not today.
Good. You have to watch out for that. The shock mic, they're not kidding about that. I keep warning them. I'm like, you can't keep it this way. You have to change this. But yeah, if you touch the shock mic and the set at the same time, unpleasant things can happen.
It's good to know for tomorrow for me.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll also
absolutely.
go over to shock mic and like,
Yeah.
doing it.
No, don't do that.
No.
Don't do that.
Well, so that's been kind of our experience, and I get to host tomorrow, and then I get to fly home. I actually get to be like that standard guest where it's like, well, I got a flight. I guess I'm gonna
Head right out. Off
head
we
right
go.
out, head right out kind of thing. So
Do you feel like a jet setter?
a little jet
Yeah.
setting. It's kind of a fascinating.
That's how you know you made it.
That's how I know I made it. Okay, that's good to know.
I think the fact that Greg chose to invite you says a lot about the value of what you're doing. I mean, not that you require Greg's validation to have there are, tens of thousands of people out there creating amazing media across the world. But the fact of the matter is, y'all are doing something worth doing, and I think you should be proud that both that he extended that invitation and that you're able to sit there right beside him and keep up and create good, informative, entertaining stuff for people. I think it's a day to celebrate for you.
No, I appreciate that, and that's what I was trying to explain to a few people. Like I have a few friends who kept saying, you need to stop with this whole thing of, now you feel like you made it, or now you feel like prideful, or something like that. You should have, you made good content before. But it's like, yeah, well, no, I mean, I understand I make good content. Trust me, I know who I have like paranoid issues, but I still understand who I am and what I make. But when Greg Miller, when Kind of Funny wants you out to do stuff with them, it's like it's just another level of that validation that maybe you don't need, but it's still good to have.
I think validation is in this age where everybody is either is or wants to be a narcissistic celebrity.
Yeah.
And I'm not immune from that.
I'm not.
I mean, what I do for a living is point a camera at myself. We sometimes become overcritical of the importance of validation.
Sure.
Yes, we should be confident in ourselves, but it's good to be told by people we value that our work matters. And I think that we sometimes can become so ironically self-judgmental that we miss out on that.
I think it's very accurate.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm weird with it right now because like it's weird. We keep setting these goals, but we actually keep hitting them. And then my next one, as I kind of mentioned, like I would love a place to be where my computer's not in the same place as my bedroom. Mm-hmm. But the biggest thing for us, or at least this is why I'm still in my own head about, is like I still have to do my full-time job and come and do this. Mm-hmm. And I would love to get myself to a spot where that's not the case anymore. Like I can do what I love. So trying to fight that, not to mention, like I mentioned before to you, Jared, but you kind of mentioned this is kind of in that 30s era is kind of when you started, and that's where I'm at now. Because I had that one thing, it's like, well, everybody follows my age, but they've been at it for a while. It's like, it's something I wish I started earlier, but now this is when I'm actually starting to break through a little bit.
Yeah, you can't change when you started. I got into this industry so late. I was 34 before I ever had a full-time job in gaming, and that was way too late for the people that worked around me, but I've been surprised how little that's hurt me. I really have. I'm an old man doing this, and seems to be working fine. I encourage you. I really do.
Yeah, I think as long as you got the voice and as long as you got the abilities and the passion and determination, what is age? You might have to fight a little bit harder for opportunities, but
it depends. The people that are in your corner. I mean, I honestly don't think Greg cares how old I am. I don't think Tina at IGN cares how old I am.
Yeah.
I don't think the Mike at GameSpot cares how old I am. They're there to give me opportunities to make good stuff, and so as long as folks that are helping you don't care, then you're going to be fine. And the kind of folks that would care about that, maybe you don't want their help anyway.
fair. Well, talked enough about us. We talked enough about our travels around San Francisco and stuff like that. I want to talk about you, Jared.
Oh, why would anyone want to
I
do
don't know.
that?
It's a thing. I mean, it's on the contract over there.
Is it? Okay. Oh, I haven't signed it yet.
Yeah,
okay.
no.
Oh,
No,
man.
we sign after the fact. You got to make sure.
Yeah, hey, you get the episode banked, then you sign the contract.
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
plan.
Good plan, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That way you can just take it and run if you
Yeah, no,
have to.
pretty
Yes.
much. Yeah, I mean, we're pretty close to here. We could just run out. So, I had the opportunity finally to meet you in person at E3.
Yeah,
So
we had dinner together,
we
right?
had dinner together. Yeah, it was,
And then I didn't call you for like 2 months.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, it's better than one of our lovely guests who took a whole year of me emailing before I got back. So you know what? You're
I'm ahead of the curve by like 10 months.
yeah.
Yes.
Pretty much.
I am like 5/6 less rude than that person.
Fair enough.
Okay.
But no,
Excellent.
it worked out fine. Like, I mean, honestly, this summer was such a busy time. It's better, and because it took so long, we get to do this in person versus some Skype.
I am very happy about that. When I saw you guys were coming into town, I was tickled pink.
Yeah. So it's like this is how I prefer to do stuff. I like, when I'm able to, it's just where we're both individually located, not near each other. Opportunities don't arise, so I'll take them when they come. But after meeting you, I started watching a lot of your content and started backtracking.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it was a thing. But Justin had been telling me to watch your stuff for a while, and I have this issue when, even though Justin's always right,
Always.
Usually.
with what I needed to watch, he's always been right with who I need to watch. I don't know why. I just don't. I don't take recommendations well, but after meeting you, I said, fuck it. I'm going to take some time. I'm going to go through stuff. And the one thing I discovered about you is something I said to Justin when we first got into town is you are probably my favorite voice in this industry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, but there's
Watch more.
I watch a lot of stuff. My reasoning behind this is because the way you speak about stuff and your outlook on things, that I don't care if I agree with you. Other people I find... I might, if I find myself, like we've talked about Kind of Funny, that sometimes Tim or Greg make a comment about something, I get annoyed with them. Like, why would you say that? Or they make a comment, whether I like it or whatever direction. You can say you don't like something that I like, or you say you do like something that I don't like.
Are we about to talk about Destiny?
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
But it's just one of those cases where nothing even...
We're on the same boat there.
It's nothing, even for me at least, it's nothing even particular stands out. It's just whether I agree with you or disagree with you, I like to hear your viewpoint on things. I like to hear...
That's a very kind thing to say. Yeah, that really is. And I appreciate that. I don't think... I guess that's... I guess a lot of people must be doing that because I'm wrong so often that if people actually cared what my opinion was, no one would ever listen. So I guess that must be it. But that's a very kind thing to say because I care about that. And I care about that both at a functional and a dysfunctional level.
Yeah.
Dysfunctionally, I want to be adored.
Sure.
I draw too much of my validation, an unhealthy amount, from the accolades other people give me. And that can be very bad. Okay. And I'm not talking about fans or anything. What I'm talking about there is at a very primal level, does this person I care about in my life think I'm doing a good job? Does this person who's my boss think I'm doing a good job? Does this person in my family think I'm doing a good job? If not, there must be something wrong with me. I've been struggling for years against that and working and getting better at it with the help of smart, professional medical human beings. Gradually, that's beginning to improve. But there is that part of that where I like hearing things. Sometimes, I got to take that one level. It's good to be complimented, accept the compliment. And two, and by the way, don't draw all your sense of value from that, Jared. Mm-hmm. When it comes to the good end of it, I think that in most situations there is a best solution, but I do think that finding that best solution is usually a matter of dialogue, experimentation, and entropy. And expressing disparate opinions, particularly in a collegial or entertaining or goofy way. Mm-hmm. And all three of those can go together, by the way. You can argue collegially very well. You can shout at a friend and it be completely constructive because you're friends. Mm-hmm. In the end, that gets you closer, hopefully, to finding the best of those solutions. And that's so I try to shoot for that. I fail sometimes, and I can be viciously narrow-minded on occasion and horribly partisan and lots of other things. But I try.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to hear that maybe every now and then I'm doing that. Thank you.
You're definitely.
No, absolutely.
Also, I ramble, as you're well aware.
Rambling's always good, man.
I literally run it. I co-host a show called The Ramble Jam. Trust me.
There we go. The Ramble Jam. I haven't watched The Ramble Jam.
Yeah, it's a good show. Myself and a guy, Chris, from Casting for Two. We do a show. It's literally just no planning. Usually, again, some really weird conversations come up, but we have 1 hour to just talk to each other. And we just don't plan. And
I do the even worse version of that.
Yeah.
Do you know about this? What? Yeah, my Patreon exclusives weekly are a thing called "Am I Boring You Yet?"
Okay.
Where my audience votes on a topic every week. Like last week, I think was aquariums.
Okay.
And then I just talk for like 45 minutes about that by myself and ask them every now and then if they're bored. Except they're not there to answer, so I just keep going. So it's just like yours, but completely self-centered.
I mean, honestly, that sounds similar to a project I'd been considering doing a few years back.
Yeah.
I mean, why not?
Yeah, for more of that, patreon.com/JaredJetty. That's right. Get that plug in there.
Yep.
We're going to plug whenever.
Oh, no, don't say that.
Plug at the end of here.
Bring in the dancing people.
So what were you thinking, Justin?
I'm just thinking about dancing plugs now.
Dancing plugs.
Dancing plugs,
like dancing
outlets?
electrical plugs? Are we thinking outlets, or are we thinking like plugs, like hair plugs? What direction?
No, like they're like stock cards or just big advertisements.
Okay.
All right. I like that.
I'm from Carolina, man. I assume so.
Yeah, that's right. You go up to Charlotte Motor Speedway every now and then?
I've been there, but I don't go there often enough.
Okay. I used to go every now and then when I lived there. I was actually in Carolina not too long ago.
Okay. Well, I imagine the closest you'll ever get to South Carolina is North Carolina, so...
Then why would anyone go to South Carolina?
I can't argue.
Whereabouts are you?
No, I'm actually... It's easiest to say just outside of Charleston, because any city you get after that, it's just too obscure.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, there's a place called Monk's Corner.
But you're in Sandyland out there.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right. Charleston's okay.
Charleston is okay. Very historic, too. I mean, it's fun to walk down there.
What I like about Charleston.
It smells like horse feces everywhere, but that's because there's actual horses there.
That's true. Well, San Francisco smells like people feces.
Yeah.
Curiously, because there's actually people here. So.
But no, I forgot what the question was already, but... It's just like, I think we need more voices like you in the game industry, as well as like there's a bunch of other people who are doing some good things about like mental health as well, which I didn't know that much about your mental health situation until you came out with that first Hop, Lip, and Jump. Mm-hmm. Like I knew there were some things, I know what you went through beforehand, which definitely shook that, but I didn't know what state you were exactly at until that one hit.
That's interesting. I highlighted mental health. I occasionally still do a little show that I did for a long time very regularly called Pockets Full of Soup, which is interviews with people about the people they're most thankful for. Mm-hmm. So it's a person telling the story of someone who matters to them.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun when I do it, but mental health became a very regular theme of that show, both because of my previous experience with it and because many of my guests chose to talk about it. Yeah. And I was really thankful for that. And we'd have people write in about that a lot. But when I had my complete breakdown, I've struggled with mental health as long as I can remember. And I've gone through some very difficult times, but last year I did just completely fall apart, ended up hospitalized. And after that, as they put me back together, and they did a really good job of helping me through it, I thought about what I was going to do next, because I was doing podcasting at that point, and it was actually Greg I talked with who first said, look, here, you plan on talking with the audience about what's going on? And he didn't say you should, and he didn't say you shouldn't. He just said, are you planning on that? And we talked for a while, and he just pointed out that obviously he understood many different ways you might want to approach this, but probably be a good thing for people to hear.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I had thought that way but during my time there, I was so focused on not planning for the future and not trying to please anybody. I just needed to get better.
Yeah.
That was an attitude I took there, is that I am not there to help other people. I am there to get well. Mm-hmm. But as I was coming out, I thought about it and talked with my wife about it, talked with Greg and a couple other friends, and decided, because I've seen way too many examples of people simply not knowing that help is there. Yeah. And if they do know it's there, not knowing how to reach out for it. I've seen that in old people, and I've seen that in young people, and I've seen that in people of all genders, and I've seen that in people of all economic circumstances. I've met wealthy people that don't understand mental health availability, and I've met poor people that don't understand mental health availability, and I have a small, very kind audience of people that for some reason want to hear me babble like this every now and then. I probably ought to tell them what's going on. at least in my own life. So that's where that came from. That was probably a long answer to a short question. Sorry about that.
No, that's great.
I think it was fine. I know, as people who watch our content know, we care a lot about mental health stuff. I mean, I run a show that I still, for the life of me, can't figure out quite exactly how to do regularly, called the Mental Health Breakdown, which is, it started as a vlog because I got angry at my in-laws about a comment they made to me, and then, in their lack of understanding, so I did a live vlog on Twitch, and then it turned into, I had a couple people mention to me at PAX West last year that they wanted to talk to me about topics. I thought, I could look into this as an interview thing, and then it progressed into that, and then it progressed into this show's too fucking hard to do, and I just stopped doing it for a little while. It took a lot out of me, and then I had a suicide attempt last year. At the end of towards the end of the year, actually, we're almost at the 1 year anniversary now, and I realized I needed to really look into doing the show again. So, like a few months now back, like this past spring, I finally brought it back as an infrequent guest thing because I've realized just how much I as a person need to talk about my stuff, but as people out there need to hear that there are people dealing with stuff to understand that this is not it's such an this shouldn't be have to be such an unknown thing.
Yeah, destigmatizing is extremely important, and I'm glad you're willing to speak so openly about it. I also think that education is a huge part of it. I mean, education and availability are two parts of this that folks that struggle with it, I think, gradually become aware of if they are lucky enough or fortunate enough to receive helpful treatment. Because I sat there in the hospital and having spent years in mental health treatment going, I'm pretty sure that if I had to do this for a week in high school or middle school, if I'd have learned these principles there this way, and then I had lived in an economic structure of healthcare where when I knew something was wrong, I could just go to the doctor about it. If those two things were combined, I think we'd have a significantly less damaging mental health crisis in the United States. I really do. And I was like, this is not an unfixable situation.
And not only not unfixable, but it's also not an easy fix, too. Like, if anybody who's currently going through mental health and actually seeing help for it, especially with medications, like, there's not an end-all, be-all pill that's going to make you feel better.
No.
And you also won't know until like 30 days after you start taking it. You have to get into your system, which is that's the situation I'm through right now. Like, I'm trying some, not really seeing it, trying some, not really seeing, up to dose, still not seeing it, trying something else, not seeing it.
So you're on a long tweak cycle right now.
Pretty much. Like, I'm doing a mix of seeing a psychologist, which is helping me with the medication and the balances, and seeing a counselor to help talk about it.
Yeah.
And I've been going through a year, but definitely I can say I have been better. I'm a better me now than I was last year as far as dealing with it. And just taking that big step, which I think it was in 2015 where I started looking into it, but I think I actually got the group now that's working well. And that's the thing, like, you're not going to find one group, and they'll even tell you this, if you're not comfortable with me, check another doctor, see if that goes along with you, or see if they gel better with you. And it kind of got to like go back and forth till you find that just right match.
I think two of the biggest misunderstandings a lot of people have with mental health treatment is there's a belief, and I think it comes from like sitcoms and stuff like that and those things, and different TV shows, that you just walk in, you find a therapist or a psychiatrist or whatever, which the belief that they're the same thing, they are not the same thing.
Yeah.
That you walk in, you find your person, and that's just it. And they're not good initially. Well, we'll just keep talking till you figure it out, and then they'll just put me on drugs and I'll be good. It's like, no, you might go through several therapists and or psychiatrists. You will go through multiple drugs.
And in the States, you're going to be the impetus for pushing most of the time, and that's the hardest part of it, because when you need someone pushing you, instead you're the one that has to push, and it's daunting and difficult. And I've had crappy mental health care workers and that have assisted me, and I've had great ones. And but I do think access is as important as anything, and the fact that those barriers exist is extraordinarily discouraging. We can talk all we want about valuing mental health in the United States, but the system that we exist in now makes the least regular and sustained care available to the fewest number of people imaginable. And that's really rough. And then you end up in situations where you've got good doctors that just want to help patients, good therapists that just want to help patients, in a medical system that tells them, you can see them once a month, or you can see them for 6 sessions and that's it. So do your best. When that's not going to fix them.
Yeah.
No, you need to find one that's actually asking. It's like, how often you want to see me? Hey, are you cool with trying this? Somebody is not saying, oh, yeah, you just come see me. Hey, you just tell me I take you. Like, the psychologist and the counselor I'm seeing now are always giving me the options. And then once we settle on the option, they give me a nice roadmap.
Yeah.
Which I think definitely helps besides doing our own.
But
Doing good?
sometimes a good shrink doesn't, in their provider system, have even that luxury. That's the part they're trapped between, do I turn this person away or do I see him 6 times?
Yeah.
And hope that I can get him to somebody else.
Yeah. And you got to, because the counselor I'm seeing now, it's like, we're both at the point now, we're like, we're not really making any big progress here. But she's like, but I got an idea and I got some different people we could try out and see how this goes in a different way to try it out. Like, again, not one way to attack this. And just, I still think like the biggest thing is like we got to get access to it, like you mentioned, but also just as I think more people are doing now, trying to normalize that conversation. Because kind of funny yourself. I mean, like Brian and Max from IGN doing both Comedy Button and Weird Heat are definitely trying to help just get it in the conversation. Hey, this is normal. People feel like this, and if you do feel like this all the time, definitely try to get some help.
Yeah, well, the very idea of normalcy has been so chronically distorted, and I suppose that as much as anything else, that's a combination of several cultural factors ranging from popular culture and media, but going back before that to what we considered gender roles, to what we considered theologically appropriate, to what economics allowed, and it is all largely built just to make sure that enough people do well that things continue as they are.
Yeah.
A world with good mental health treatment is a frightening new kind of world that at least initially appears to cost more, that leads to a healthier portion of people in society being able to do. That is a revolutionary idea for our culture.
It is.
And frankly, while people, I think, want it, they want it like they say they want the world to stop getting hotter, but they don't actually want to reduce emissions.
No.
Because that costs money in the short term. I can't fathom what a world where people are not constantly walking around with their mental health issues fully exacerbated could economically do. The idea that I could be at my most productive and at my most healthy most of the time simply because I have access to treatment all the time, and that millions of Americans could be in that same spot. That's really incredible.
Which is a scare I'm about to go through, because I definitely get into what I'm doing now as a full-time thing. But if I do that, I have to cut off access to my my insurance, the things that help me pay to get me to where I'm at now, and I have to cut off the counseling. I may have to cut off the psychiatrist, and to take that just adds even more stress and anxiety to a leap that I'm already like stressed about. But I also know in my current situation, I'm not happy, and I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird jumping off point. It's bad when my counselor's like at me. It's like, you should probably think about it, but I can't tell you to think about it. But yeah, it's just one of those added stresses. It's like, oh, I can't just continue everything. I can't just do what I do and just try to make that big leap and still everything's going to be fine as far as my mental health goes, or just my general care goes. It's a whole other thing I have to add, consider into the equation. No,
we're all different. I mean, there's a reason medicine's an art and not a science.
Yeah.
When you go to medical school, it's because we all react to treatment differently. And that extends beyond mental health medicine, but I think it's especially true in mental health medicine. Whether it be therapy, counseling, or medication, those are all going to affect us in different ways. And like you said, you find yourself, and then you get in those tweaks, and then it works for a while, and then you got to move into a tweak phase again. And it's not particularly different than having an old wound that opens back up in different ways or develops new complications. My wife was in an auto accident a few years ago and continues to develop complications as her body changes from those injuries, and they're different kinds of, and they require different approaches, and that's what it's like. But the alternative is being really sick all the time. And yet I do struggle, and I think this is angering for me, with the fact that I keep talking to people that come to me and say, I know something's very wrong. I want help, and I don't have insurance, or I do have insurance and I can't get treatment, or I am getting treatment but I can't continue it long enough, or the drugs aren't covered, and down on the list. And I'm not trying to sit here and preach like an activist or anything. I just think that this is part of the solution. What we're doing here is important, talking to each other about our issues, encouraging people to seek help, etc. And we shouldn't feel hopeless because it's difficult. But ultimately, this thing requires us to change society. It doesn't just require... We can only change ourselves right now, one by one. It's too much to try to change the whole world at the beginning.
Yeah.
But if we're all going to be at the place that we can get the change that we really need and deserve, then we're eventually going to have to band together and change society. I really do believe that.
Yeah, well, I think it's a fair point. I mean, the nature of just where mental health is right now, as the discussed point, the fact that it's still, talked about in such hushed whispers. Half the places you go, the fact that I hear family members and friends be like, "So yeah, I kind of feel I feel a little bit depressed." It's like, you just fucking say you're feeling depressed. Like, I mean, I understand why people don't, but there's, again, it's dialing back, come back to that stigma.
My dad's a shrink, and it took me forever to get into treatment, and he encouraged me to. Yeah. I had every possible advantage. I had insurance. I had a father who was a psychologist who was telling me, you really probably ought to look at get some help here. Let's work through this, and was there to try to back. I had a loving spouse that said the same thing, and it still took me years to go get help.
Yep.
I can't imagine what it's like for somebody that doesn't have those things, or has somebody actively saying, "No, you don't need that. That's not what men do, or that's not what God wants, or that's not what I don't know what to do with that." I'm a person of faith. I'm reasonably sure that it's okay to go to the doctor.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that absolutely. I cannot see why not.
Yes, it seems, and not to start theological debate society, whether there's a God or not, I'm reasonably sure going to the doctor is a good idea when you're sick.
You would think so. And that's the other thing is people need to start looking at mental health issues and things like that as the same way you look at when you get the flu, or when you get a strep throat or something like that. You're sick.
Yeah.
And because you wouldn't think twice about, wow, I'm having such severe headaches that I can barely stand up. I'm going to go get the doctor, maybe get an MRI. It's the same thing, wow, I really have horrible thoughts all the damn time, and I can't get out of bed.
Yes.
Go to the doctor. It's the same exact. I'm generalizing here a little bit, but it's the same. It's an illness. I
have had more than one conversation this week with really smart adult people who are still trying to get their heads around this, and I don't blame them a bit.
No. Yeah.
Because the entire world is built to tell you otherwise.
Yep. I mean, and then what you mentioned earlier, the whole idea that if you're a guy, you can't talk about your emotions, or you can't do anything. That's also hit over your head all the damn time. So it's just it's an interesting world where a lot needs to be changed. And thankfully, we're starting to I feel at least, starting to see some more openness about things, some more open discussion, and some more finally breaking down of things.
Yeah.
There was a time when I was doing my mental health, kind of discussions where nobody else was doing that really on the internet, and now you're seeing it, and like from more well-known faces, you're starting to see that kind of stuff, and I love.
So, what do you think happens as awareness grows? As openness grows, as acceptance of this medical reality in our society grows, what happens next? What happens to change an infrastructure that's not adequate to the task right now? There is more need for mental health service than there is practically accessible mental health service. What do we do about that?
I mean, the problem is we live in right now just in a society where just generalized medical help is just not readily available to people. And I think until that level of medical help is more accessible and made more accessible to people, the mental health side is not going to be picked up. I because of the stigmas against mental health, I think until body health kind of stuff gets more accessible, mental health is always going to be lagging behind on that.
Then I guess my takeaway for what we go to, we can't change society in a second. So what can we do when we find ourselves in these situations individually? What do I actually have power over?
I think
go ahead.
Education is always the thing, like trying to communicate that first, because it's going to be hard to get diagnosed when you're a kid because you kind of have a hard time explaining exactly how you feel. Because I dealt with this once in high school, and I just took a pill. I'm like, it didn't do nothing, so I just ignored it.
Well, particularly, I'm just sorry to interject there, but particularly if you're a teenager, it's even worse thing because teenagers is just, you're just hormones and you're just all these emotions and stuff. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. You're just, I don't know. You're just inexplicably horny and angry all the damn time.
Or he gets that ADD,
or that mentality of things. But
whereupon there are questions. People, my dad used to work at he worked at a psychiatric residential facility for teens. There definitely are, if we can get people with needs into the presence of the right evaluators and doctors, some of this can be found, but we've got to be willing to pursue it. And I think that's the lesson. What do we have power over? You mentioned education, so we can identify these things, so that we know it might be us. But the other part, or it might be someone around us we love. But the other part of it is we got to accept this reality until we can change the broader reality. You got to fight for it.
Yes.
And that when you're sick, that's the hardest. Somebody looking at you and saying, you are bleeding. Stand up and walk to the hospital. That's not how it should work.
No.
But it is right now.
Yep.
And when you get to the hospital, bang down the doors of the emergency room. And when they kick you out, go down the street to the next hospital, and et cetera. That's what a lot of mental health treatment can be like sometimes. I've been fortunate in that regard, but I've seen some nightmares. And I think about, again, I mentioned my wife's physical accident and what the multi-year struggle to get the ramifications of that medically, economically dealt with were, and how much banging on the door you had to do to keep from getting screwed. I think that's something people that are dealing with mental health issues should be honestly told. I'm not a doctor. In my opinion, mental health in America is going to, as you get better, there's help out there, and you're going to have to fight for it at some point along the way. Many people, not all, but many will have to fight to get that help because there's not as strong fight to find that person that'll fight for you.
Yeah.
That's going to take work. And I hate saying that to somebody who doesn't want to hear that or need to hear it, but I think it's true right now.
Time and work. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. And it's the sad nature of things, but it's what's got to be done.
And you can get better. You can get better, but you need help. You can't do it by yourself.
Don't wait for that alarm to go off. Just start.
Yeah, I wonder if you're picking that up right now. Huh? The street car alarm.
No, that works out. We're kind of getting to, this kind of turned into like a hybrid Constantly Calibrating Podcast, mental health breakdown, which works for me.
Sorry about that.
No, I expected that. That's fine. That's totally the direction we went. As Justin and I discussed, we were like, we're sit down with Jared. Do we want to have a plan? It's like, start here, see where we end up.
I will ramble until you tell me to shut up.
No, well, we enjoyed it.
Well, thank you.
We enjoyed the conversations, but we're kind of getting to we're almost an hour now.
Okay.
So, Justin, do you have any other final questions or thoughts you may want to tackle?
I'm blank at this moment.
Jared, anything you would like to...
I've talked enough. No, I mean, it's a privilege to be here. I had a pleasure meeting y'all. I'm glad we finally got to do this together.
Yeah.
I hope I haven't rambled too much.
No, seriously, it's fine.
My SJW agenda or anything like that. But look, we can do this. It's going to take time. Yep. But I am not well, but I'm better. And I'm better because other people that knew what they were doing, that were medical professionals, reached out and helped me get better. But also I did, thanks to education and the wisdom of people around me, ask for the help and seek it out. And that was really all I could do at that moment was ask for help. That was all I had left. If all you have left is the ability to ask for help, there's nothing that's not wrong.
Nope.
Ask for help. And sometimes we have to trust in others to take care of us.
No.
It's really, it's kind of cliche, but it really is the first step, is to finally just ask for help. And yeah.
And if somebody says no, ask somebody else.
Yep.
That's the key point.
That's the point. Is just because somebody says no doesn't mean that's your end all be all.
Yeah, not just no. Like, there's enough people I try to talk to about it, but they kind of just grace or just kind of glaze what you just said or acknowledge it, but they don't want to get into it.
Sure.
There are more people more comfortable with it. There's tons of podcasts that we're talking about, tons of people talking about it, and they're usually open to reaching out to. So just don't be afraid to reach out to somebody.
Yep. I think it's always. Yeah, I think it's a good way.
Thank you for having me.
No, thank you. Thank you for having us in your home. I mean,
welcome. Sorry about the lack of picture, but we just moved in. You were talking about having just gotten out of the same room, where you sleep and you film. I'm literally like a couple of weeks out for that, and I have my studio, which is in reality, I think there's I have right now one Red Dead poster and a horseshoe hanging up in there. I got some work to do, but we'll get there.
Greatness from small beginnings is great.
Oh, I think you were talking about Greg earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, I have. There's no universe where I imagine, nor do I want to do what Greg did. Mm-hmm. I have very different goals and aspirations. But the good thing they created was in a corner bedroom with a fake tile set in there, and I keep trying to draw sustenance from that.
Yeah. I mean, we all have to start somewhere. We all have to grow from somewhere. So,
What's the Charlie Brown thing? If every failure teaches you something, I'm the smartest person in the world.
And it's accurate.
It's very accurate.
Yeah, Charlie Brown and mental health. I'll go down that. I mean, Schultz was by his own admission mentally ill, and so he, particularly before he got all saccharine as he got old, when he was writing in the 50s and 60s at the peak of the strip, it was mostly spiritual, existential, and psychological. That was what you got in Charlie Brown. You got struggles with depression. You got feelings of alienation, frustration, confused worldviews, and it was handled so brilliantly. I really do challenge anybody that's thinking about mental health issues. Dig up late 50s to late 60s era Peanuts. Some of the best psychological writing ever done.
I think it's good advice.
Yeah.
So I think that will cover this Constantly Calibrating Podcast. Fun note, both cameras turned off at one point.
Oh, great.
So we'll see what that's going to look like in editing and for anyone watching this on YouTube. But before we get to our outro stuff, Jared, where can people find you and any of your content?
Oh, Lord, I don't know what I do for a living. Let's see. Yeah, I do all kinds of stuff. So obviously you can find me over at Kind of Funny. We were mentioning Greg earlier. I work over there with Greg, Tim, Nick, Joey, Cool Greg, Andy, at all, etc. Yeah, even Kevin. And at kindoffunny.com or Kind of Funny Games. And we are a bunch of talking heads over there making good stuff. I run a podcast called Red Dead Radio, which is all about Red Dead Redemption 2 and the culture that feeds into the Western mythos. So I have a lot of fun with it. I think it's pretty good.
I want to say that is much more than just a Red Dead podcast, so definitely give it a listen to, even if the game doesn't interest you.
Yeah, we talk. It's weird. I kind of think we're a fairly decent podcast to listen to, even if you don't care about the game.
Yeah.
I don't know how we manage that, but that's reddeadradio.com. That takes you to the Patreon that I link to everything out from. I make a show called Hot Blip and a Jump, which is a documentary series about how video games are connected to one another and to real life. I produce that infrequently and never as well as I should. But you can find that at youtube.com/hotblipandajump or hotblipandajump.com. I make Pockets Full of Soup every now and then. You can listen to Pockets Full of Soup is the show about people we're thankful for. I really should just name my YouTube channel Brand Confusion. I occasionally make episodes of Am I Boring You Yet? Which is me rambling about other stuff. I do some special edition things, a lot of Patreon exclusive stuff, usually like 4 exclusive episodes a month on there for patrons. And I'll be doing something new very soon, too. So,
Awesome.
And you can also find me at IGN writing every now and then, and sometimes maybe look around at other outlets as well.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you for joining us, Jarrett. For as far as Constantly Calibrating goes, you are probably, well, at least parts of it, depending how this editing goes, you are watching to youtube.com/ConCalPod. We live stream most of our content to mixer.com/ConCalPod. You can find us at ConCalPod on Twitter. I am at Bear Punch on Twitter. Justin is now at Justin_Glorious.
Yeah, Agent Gamer didn't work too well.
It's going to take a lot for my brain to remember to actually say
I wanted to
that.
see if you got it right.
This explains so much. I was very confused on Twitter the other day.
I literally rebranded Tuesday. What is it? The next following Monday?
Yeah, it's in the
No,
fall.
it was Wednesday.
Well, yeah, I think you did it on Wednesday or Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah, pretty much. Justin did that Justin Glorious character for the kind of funny interesting tournament. And myself, and then one of the other people of the Triple J bracket, John, Mr. Negative, we kept just saying to him like, Justin Glorious is so much better than the Agent Gamer. Agent Gamer's a pain in the ass to spell, and
I love it that everybody, including Greg, is telling me this now.
I mean,
We're gonna have a mental health breakdown on this.
I didn't realize how hard it was to spell until I had to stop spelling it.
It's almost as hard to spell as Constantly Calibrating together.
Constant calibrating that's why we're ConCalPod everywhere. Because constant calibrating together is one sentence. Or
That is a lot of words.
It's a lot of letters.
A lot of syllables.
I didn't think about brand. This wasn't meant to be a branded thing. This was meant to be
Branding. Got to own that SEO. Hey, if anybody needs to calibrate anything constantly, they're probably going to find you.
Yeah, it's usually microphones, hair dryers. There's a lot of fascinating stuff.
Love
in our
that
search
one a
history.
lot. Yeah,
I really years ago when we first started, I used to do a little article series about the random shit people search for to find the site.
Oh yeah, I am Red Dead Radio, the Red Dead Redemption podcast with Jared Petty. I'm going to get found, darn it. That's the idea. But
Plus side, you can still actually find me at the Agent Gamer. I made that Twitter,
Yeah.
reclaimed it to point to my other
if
one.
you search for the Agent Gamer, you can still link
But look for
it.
Justin_Glorious, and I hate to have the underscore.
yeah, there's two of you. That's the part that was so confusing. I'm like, who are you? I don't understand.
Generally, people see me, they're like, there's more of you. It's just the general look I have.
We started with that. We ended with that.
What y'all's the next road trip? Where you headed?
We're interchangeable, Justin.
Let's see. The next, I'm not doing TwitchCon. I'm not doing. I want to go to the Game Awards, but I don't think the timing's going to work out on it.
Yeah.
Where do you invite?
Yeah, and we're also launching a new show in a couple of weeks.
Ooh, fun.
Actually, a few new shows. We're launching one major one, so I want to make sure I'm like home to actually be able to work on that. I was convinced to go to PAX South while I was at PAX West. Someone wants me on a mental health podcast panel.
Yeah.
And then a few other things. So
You should go.
I'll probably go.
You should go.
It's a few weeks after my kid's birthday, so I should be in the clear.
When is PAX South?
January 24th or 29th.
I would kill to go to PAX South. I've never gone. That sounds like fun.
I've
I hear
only
it's
been to West.
largely a board game show, and that's exciting.
Yeah, there's definitely. I think I've heard more board games. It's not like quite the level of like Unplugged. You know, the one in was it Pennsylvania? They do PAX Unplugged.
Yeah, but I like intimate shows like that.
Yeah.
Like
But
where
it's definitely smaller scale and definitely that more intimate feel to it.
PAX was rad. I liked PAX West. It was really.
Oh,
really
yeah.
PAX was my
groovy.
favorite. PAX was every year is my favorite event. This one in particular was easily one of my favorite events I've ever been to. But again, we had the opportunity to take part in a major tournament.
Yeah.
I actually drank with people, the developers, and hung out with them. And,
Oh, who'd you hang out with?
everyone. I mean, literally every PR person I've known over the last 5-6 years of doing this at one point walked through that one hotel bar, So it's
I was supposed to hang out with Corey Barlog after our panel, but he had important meetings to go to. Thanks a lot, Corey.
Shade thrown towards
Also,
Corey's way.
thanks for being on my panel. Appreciate it.
don't worry, Corey's not going to see this.
He may. Corey watches a lot of stuff. You never. Here's the thing about Corey Barlog. If he were to pop up comically from behind this couch right now, I would not be particularly surprised. Mainly because I kidnapped him and threw him behind my couch a couple hours ago, but also because he tends to show up places you don't expect.
Yeah, that was my experience meeting him at E3. Pretty much, it was just, he just suddenly was there, and I got to
He's like a Pokemon.
Yeah,
He just kind of pops up. He's like, he's Corymon.
Yeah, I'm going to officially be cutting this out of this episode and putting this up on Twitter isolated.
Okay.
Just for Corey to see this.
All right, Corey, we love you.
By the way, I guess the podcast is still going, even though we did outro.
Who knows?
Again, I can be trusted to derail anything.
No, we are. Well, the problem is you put 3 people who are known for derailing and rambling on a couch together.
Yeah.
Shit's never going to end. But I think we are officially at time without starting literally another podcast. We're going to have Jared on again in the future, obviously. As long as he doesn't get sick of us, he's going to come on more stuff.
No, I'm completely sick of them.
Yeah,
this
that's
is
disgusting.
never happening again.
No, so thank you all for joining us. And well, finally I lose my voice. And with that, I bid you a good sign-off.